first thing I would say is improvise with your students. I have always loved the Hal Leonard piano method because they've always incorporated that. They have those little my own song pieces where you get to play the accompaniment. Well, now they have a book. You've probably seen it over there. I've seen some of you have it. It's called Scales, Chords, and Improvs. And this is basically is a scale book with 5-finger exercises in it, or 5-finger scales in it. It's all 5-finger scales. It's got the 1-5-7-1 cadence. It's got a hand-over-hand arpeggio, and then there's always some sort of practical activity that goes with that particular key. But my favorite part is at the very beginning, and I like the way that they put it at the beginning as if to suggest that you should do that first. But at the very beginning is an improvisation exercise, just like those My Own songs in the books. And the wonderful thing is Philip Keverin, which, as I hope you know, is, in my opinion, the best orchestrator. His orchestrations are fabulous, very creative, very interesting, but he's orchestrated all of these. And so the CD that comes with the book, which is not in my book because it's at home, right? Yes, okay. The CD that's supposed to come with the book will have all of those orchestrations on it. And, you know, just a suggestion, you could just start the lesson with this. The first 60 seconds you could put in the CD, and you know that they're supposed to have the G major scale ready. So you say, okay, let's improvise using the G major scale. It takes a minute, maybe 2 minutes if you stretch it. So it's just a fun thing that you can do. So improvise melodies with your students. The second thing I would say is improvise harmonies and left-hand bass patterns. Now, I think this is especially good for older students. And I've noticed that my teenagers are especially interested in this. And you're probably really sick of this little, this left-hand pattern, and so am I, but this little thing, name is Jim Rick. Okay, well that makes a big difference in a piece of music. And then you can teach them about descendant cadence. Look, the idea is Mary Had a Little Lamb is a very silly, completely worthless piece of music to a teenager. But as soon as you add a little interesting left-hand bass pattern, it becomes very interesting to them. So you can do this sort of thing with even the most basic of folk melodies. So improvise with your students. The second thing is give your students creative projects to do. And this is where the sky's the limit. Anybody could come up with all kinds of different things. And I'll just tell you a few things that we've done in my studio. One of the things that I've done is done a theme and variations challenge, where you give them a piece of music like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you tell the whole studio, if you want, I want you to come up with a variation. And you could obviously play Mozart's variations of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star just for an example. And it's always interesting what students do. Some of them will take it away and never have to ask a question about it. They'll come up with wonderful little things. Others will need a suggestion. Well, why didn't you make it minor? Or why didn't you add one little jazz note? Or why didn't you add some really quirky sounding harmonies or something like that? You can suggest things to them. But then you can have all the students come together in a studio class and have them all play their variations for each other. It's just a fun thing that they can do. You don't have to have them come together for a studio, recital to do that sort of a thing. But the Theme and Variations Challenge has been really helpful in my studio.